Hi Reds! I think many of you, just like me, spent the whole day waiting for the big news. The sacking of Arne Slot. Sorry, I mean Arne Slot. But it didn't happen, and honestly, it feels like a joke to keep a manager after results like these. But there are a few reasons behind it. That's what we'll discuss today. And we'll also model a few scenarios for what could happen to our team next. And at this point, the question isn't whether Liverpool will get back into the title race. The real question is whether Slot should stay even until Christmas. This is LFC Live, subscribe, and let's begin. Slot's appointment in the summer of 2024 wasn't a random decision. On the contrary, Fenway Sports Group, Michael Edwards, and Richard Hughes planned every detail. After the Klopp era, the club wasn't looking for a revolutionary, but for a coach who would maintain intensity, structure, pressing, and player development. Slot fit every one of those criteria perfectly. At Feyenoord, his style was the closest thing to what many called Klopp's succession. A high line, aggressive pressing, strong off-ball work. And on top of that, Slot built a reputation as a coach who increases player value. He developed Quinton Timber, Orkun Kökçü, Santiago Gimenez. For a club built on the FSG model, that mattered. And the results came immediately. Slot's debut season was phenomenal. He didn't just preserve Klopp's legacy, he adapted it. The team switched to a hybrid 4-2-3-1 that often looked like a 2-4-4 in attack. The Gravenberch-McAllister double pivot became the heart of the build-up. Trent got an inverted fullback and playmaker role. Pressing became controlled, not chaotic. Everything looked structured and balanced. The result? A title in his first season, and full belief that Slot was a manager for the next decade. But the second campaign became the complete opposite. Instead of progress, regression. Instead of consolidating success, the team collapsed in all phases of the game. And there are a few key factors behind Liverpool's current downfall. The first factor is tactical breakdown. Slot's system relies on several critical roles. The high defensive line is one of them. But a high line only works if you have a sweeper keeper and defenders who can compensate for risk. In the first season, Alisson provided that. In the second, he's gone. And without him, playing high is suicide. Van Dijk and Konate can't turn or recover like they did in 2020. Opponents know this and simply exploit the space behind. The second factor is pressing. It has completely stopped functioning. New signings Isak and Ekitike don't do the amount of defensive work that Diaz, Nunez, or Jota did. The midfield is full of gaps. Gravenberch and McAllister can't cover the center. Because of this, opponents walk through the middle with ease, like against PSV, Galatasaray, and Forest. The third factor is experiments that look like panic. Slot put Szoboszlai at right back, a position he's never played. Changing systems mid-match looks less like flexibility and more like desperation. The team no longer understands what the manager wants. The fourth factor is the human factor. People don't talk about it much, but it's obvious. Van Dijk doesn't just look slower, he looks nervous, argues with referees, and seems disconnected from the game. His handball against PSV was the peak of that hopelessness. Salah is isolated without Trent. His numbers dropped, and you can see it not only in stats, but in his body language. The fifth, Jota's death. It's not a football issue, but it affected everyone. The shock in the dressing room was enormous, and you can't just move on. We also need to understand Slot's career context. Has he been in crises before? Yes. At Feyenoord, after half the squad was sold, they lost 0-7 to Copenhagen in a friendly, and Slot still led them to a title. He didn't panic. He worked systematically. At AZ, on the contrary, he was fired suddenly because he lost trust from the board while negotiating with another club. And that's important. Slot can lose his job not only because of results. At Liverpool, the issue now is not just results, it's trust and atmosphere. So why hasn't the club sacked him yet? There are three reasons. First, money. Compensation for Slot and his staff is over £10 million. With this summer's financial losses, that's a big number. And if we miss out on the Champions League, the hit will be even bigger. Second, FSG strategy. They don't like impulsive decisions. They consider this season a year zero after Klopp. They know Jota's death and injuries were things Slot could not control. Third, lack of ready replacements. Xabi Alonso is the main favorite, but he's at Real. Thomas Frank is an option, but no one knows if he'll leave. There's also Iraola, Cesc Fabregas, Julian Nagelsmann. The LFC Live app covered all potential candidates. It's where Slot's sacking will be reported first. The link will be in the pinned comment and description. But insiders all say the same. Slot has a deadline until the end of the calendar year. Boxing Day fixtures are his do-or-die games, and right now, there's only one way for him to save his job: give up parts of his own philosophy. What does that mean in practice? First, drop the defensive line. It may sound like betraying Liverpool's principles, but with Alisson's absence and Van Dijk's physical decline, it's necessary. Play deeper, more pragmatically, with less risk. Second, stop experimenting. Szoboszlai must return to midfield. Young fullbacks must get minutes. Even if they make mistakes, that's normal. Players should play in their natural positions. Third, simplify the midfield. Remove risky passes through the center under pressure. Go long more often toward Isak or Ekitike. It's not pretty football, but it reduces catastrophic errors. Fourth, change the pressing. Return to a compact 4-4-2 shape off the ball. Narrow the lines. Stop demanding 90 minutes of intensity from players who can't deliver it. Fifth, talk to the leaders. Van Dijk and Salah must listen to the manager. If they don't, nothing will change. Slot must show toughness. At AZ and Feyenoord, he wasn't afraid of unpopular choices. But at Liverpool, he's been too soft. Now the most important question: can he do all this? Realistically, yes. But will he? Honestly, it doesn't look like it. The pressure, the atmosphere, the circumstances, they might make it impossible. So what's next? There are two scenarios. First, resignation or sacking before Christmas. If results don't improve against West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds and Inter, patience will run out. The club will appoint an interim manager, maybe Gerrard. By the way, tell us in the comments what you think about Stevie G as manager. Second, Slot stays until summer, but as a dead man walking. The team hovers around 8th to 10th place. Konate signs for Real Madrid. Salah gets a Saudi offer. New signings lose confidence. And in the summer, the club starts rebuilding. Fans don't want to hear this, but the truth is simple. Liverpool is wasting time, and more than just points. We're losing clarity, culture, identity, and belief in the project. And the solution isn't 10 tactical tweaks, it's accepting a hard decision. The best thing for the club is to part ways with Slot. Not because he's a bad coach, he's a fantastic one. But he's not the manager who can lead Liverpool through the biggest crisis of the FSG era. He couldn't handle the second season, couldn't control the dressing room, and his system collapsed. He's already proven he can build successful teams. But right now, Liverpool needs a firefighter, not someone who accidentally fuels the fire. And so, if we speak honestly and without emotion, there is only one answer. Arne, thank you for the title, but it's time to go. Whatever happens, you'll never walk alone.